the first one we kind of wanted to talk about the first podcast and what we kind of felt and like, how the first podcast went and all of that stuff, how our feelings are about it, what are some of the challenges that we faced.
Alrighty.
How did you feel about it?
Okay, so first of all, I am a newbie in podcast making.
Yeah.
So it's actually harder than it looks like.
Yeah.
To be honest, I thought you're just gonna roll out there with the flow and just talk about whatever you want, but actually you have to put some thought into that.
Yeah.
Like any other thing you do. And also we wanted to just to introduce ourselves a little more in the first podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that went well, just because we can tell people what they are going to expect from us, and it's a first a small connection that we do with our audience, and we want them to know us a little better,
Yeah, well, what were your feelings though? Like, how did you feel doing the entire podcast?
I felt kind of a little anxious.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure what I was going to say, at what time I had to say it. So yeah.
Especially like the mic, like you're all like fun and games before the mic, laughing and stuff, and then when the mic turns on or when the video turns on, you're like, oh, I don't know what to say.
I don't like to be put in the spotlight, but I think this is a good exercise, especially for me.
Yeah.
Just to get myself more comfortable with uncomfortable stuff. So
yeah.
This is the year.
You love the uncomfortable?
Yeah. Feel uncomfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, same a little bit, but I had a little bit of experience in doing podcasts and YouTube. It's not that much, but I have recorded myself before. Videos a little bit, even worse because you have to look at yourself while you're kind of editing the video, and it gets. I had to just continue repeating myself over and over and over, and it was only like a 2-minute video, So I was like, it took me probably about 2 hours to record a 2-minute video, and then another like 30 minutes to an hour to edit it, and it wasn't that big of a deal because it wasn't back then. It was like around 2010. So yeah, those videos I did were they're mediocre, but I'm always trying to improve. And doing the podcast now, my feelings were a little bit anxious as well. Trying to figure out what to say, but I think our podcast is going to get better and better once we start recording more and more, and I think it will just get better from now on. But yeah, for me, I was a little bit anxious. How did you feel about like the editing part and all the other after stuff, like submitting it to different podcast sites and other stuff like that?
So honestly, I was very excited with the creative stage of the podcast itself, like just thinking about what we can discuss and things that are interesting for us and for many of you out there. But the logistics part and the technical part, I was impressed because I didn't know that you have to do so much to put something so little out on the internet. And Russell is the savvy one here, so he kind of taught me a little bit of how some of the things work and what could we do better so things get easier in the future. So yeah, I am actually I have a lot of respect for people that work in things like that. Like I never thought or imagined that it could take so much effort. Yeah,
and time too. Basically, some of the challenges, is just like editing for our very first podcast, just editing it, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. How long should we record it for? Where should we submit the podcast? Our site, it's just like getting random pictures, like we didn't want it to be any copyright or anything. So we tried to find pictures that we did ourselves. So we went outside and just took random pictures everywhere. And we're going to do that more and more. But those are some of the pictures that we've taken, and just to find like even songs or like sound effects that's not copyrighted, so that we could use, and posting it on social media, That takes time as well, trying to figure out, where should we post it, posting it on podcast stuff like Apple, Google Podcasts, and like all of those other stuff. So it was, it was very, very interesting in regards to some of the challenges that we have. And we don't have a lot of the expensive equipment and stuff to record it as well, but I think we didn't want that to be a hindrance in regards to starting the podcast, because procrastination is a huge thing, is a huge challenge, specifically for myself. I get challenged really easily. Like I just I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, type of deal.
I think not only you have procrastination challenges. I think we all do. It's just it depends how we manage them, and try to take little steps toward achieving a goal.
Yeah,
because if you think of a general thing, it's gonna be hard. It's just like when you cook. If you think of just making dinner yourself, it's gonna. I know you like cooking, but I personally I feel challenged when I have to cook.
Yeah.
But if I think little steps in order to do like rice or something, it's gonna make it more achievable. Yeah. Or just easier on myself.
Yeah, and everyone's first few or maybe 10 or 20 episodes are going to be mediocre at best, and then they're just going to improve on and so forth. And some of my favorite YouTubers, when I watch their very first episode, I'm just like, what the heck is this? And they've just improved every year, every month,
every
in regards
day.
to their quality and how they present themselves and their presentation and all that stuff. So it's very interesting to see.
So I guess you guys can learn along the way as well for any of the things that you have in your personal life going on,